When I was 14, my mum defended my younger sister, who had been stealing my money and even tried to send me to military school. This happened about a year before my parents divorced. My little sister had a habit of quickly spending money on food at the mall, video games, and clothes from Hot Topic. Even though my parents gave me an allowance, my dad made me earn it by cleaning the house and working on the yard. My sister, on the other hand, rarely did anything unless Dad was watching. Mum didn't force her to do much either, except tidy her room for some extra cash. I mowed neighbors' lawns, collected scattered cans from around the neighborhood to trade for 5 cents each, and took on various small jobs. I was saving up for a scooter to get around town. Over 2 years, doing odd jobs and saving most of my allowance, I managed to collect about $2,000. But keeping that money safe was a struggle mainly because of my sister. She knew all my hiding spots and stole from me constantly. Here's how it usually went. "Hey sister, did you take my money again?" "No," she would insist. "You're lying. $100 is missing from my savings. Leave me alone. I didn't do it." She would cry, then run to Mum. "Mum, he's bothering me. She stole my money again." I'd shout. Mum, snapping her fingers at me, would say, "Quiet. Can't you see my little one is upset? If she says she didn't take it, then she didn't. That's the end of it. Stop, or I'll punish you. I know she took it," I'd protest. "If you don't make her return it, I'll tell Dad." Mum brushed it off. "There's no need. Besides, you have no proof she took your money." "Yes, I do. I track every dollar. 3 days ago I had $4,000. Now I only have 3. 900,100 is gone. And you know she's stolen before. She's out of allowance this month, and you took her shopping yesterday. Where did she get the money?" Mum paused for a second, then frowned. "You're grounded. Go to your room, or I'll take the belt." I could have argued more, but one thing I learned in that house was when to stop talking and just call Dad. Without a word, I stormed into my room, slammed the door, grabbed my Nokia, and called him at work. He didn't pick up, so I left a voicemail explaining everything. About an hour later, he called back and said he'd handle it. Soon after, I heard the landline ringing and Mum yelling. I couldn't catch everything, but I heard her trying to justify herself, which never worked when she was wrong. Eventually, she yelled something like, "Fine. If she really took the money, she'll return it because she already spent it." Then Mum burst into my room, furious. "I can't believe you ratted her out, ungrateful brat. After everything I do for you, you couldn't just let a small amount slide? You're admitting she stole." With a smirk, she added, "I don't care. Girls need more money than boys. You should have just given it to her. It's hardly anything." "No, she stole $100, and even if it were only $1, I want it back. You wouldn't want someone taking money from your bag. It's no different if my sister steals from me. She's guilty, and you know it. I want my money back any way possible. I earned it honestly." "She didn't do a thing." Mum replied, "My little one doesn't have to do anything. She's a princess and deserves to be treated like one. That's not my problem. Let her be a princess, away from me and my things. Enough of this nonsense." "I'll hoop your butt," she shouted. I stood my ground and looked her in the eyes. By 14, I was her height and fairly strong from all the outdoor work. "Try it." "I won't let you because I did nothing wrong," I said. Mum froze for a moment, then roared, swinging at my dresser but hitting it instead, clearly hurting herself. She grabbed her hand, glaring at me in fury, then stormed out. I heard her screaming and banging on walls as she went down the hall and stairs to the kitchen, probably to drown her frustration in wine. My sister peeked at me from her doorway, scared, then slammed her door. She had used Mum as a shield to avoid punishment, but things changed quickly. A few minutes later, Dad came home, brought my sister into my room, and made her admit she had stolen the money. He reassured me I wouldn't be punished. She refused even to look at me while apologizing, starting in the tiniest, squeakiest voice until Dad told her repeatedly to speak louder. Eventually, she practically shouted. Then Dad handed me $100 to replace what was stolen, and made sure my sister was disciplined. For a week, the stolen money was deducted from her allowance, which made her start whining and yelling at Dad before running off to her room. Mum sat in the backyard, sipping her favorite wine and ignoring all of us. She never apologized to me and acted as if nothing had happened. As frustrating as it was, my sister still got her allowance next time, this time given by Mum, not Dad. A few days later, on one of Dad's days off, we went to the local store where he bought me a safe to store my money and other valuables. We didn't tell Mum or my sister about it. The safe had a 4-digit combination, and if I remember correctly, I used 4,962. I placed all my money inside, locked it, and hid it in the back of my closet. A few weeks later, after mowing neighbors' lawns, I came home to find my room trashed. I called Mum and told her what my sister had done. As usual, she denied everything. "My little one didn't do it," she said. "Then did you do it?" "No." "Then who else could it have been? Your room was clean when you left, and no one else was here but you two." Clearly annoyed at being cornered, she muttered, "Well, if she did it, maybe it's because you treat her badly." I called Dad again and left a message explaining what had happened. Then I went to my sister's room and told her I knew she had trashed my room. Before she could respond, I said she would no longer be able to get my money. It was safely locked in the safe. She threw a full-blown tantrum, and of course, angry Mum immediately stormed in. I just repeated that my money was now out of reach and returned to my room to clean up. My sister continued screaming in her room for about 20 minutes. Nothing was missing or broken, just scattered around. I tidied everything up, but the next day I found my room trashed again. This time, a window was broken. My sister had thrown the safe out of the window because she couldn't open it. I immediately called Dad. When Mum and Dad got home, my sister proudly confessed. Mum tried to side with her, saying, "You shouldn't have bought this safe," but Dad scolded her, explaining he got the safe for me because he was tired of my sister stealing my money. Every time she took it, Dad had to return it since Mum never did. The parents had to replace my window. Dad installed a lock on my door and even put a wall-mounted combination safe near my door to store the key to my room. My sister was grounded for a month for breaking the window. During that time, she had to stay in her room whenever Dad was home. While Dad was at work, Mum let her do whatever she wanted, playing video games, watching TV. I didn't tell Dad about anything else, knowing that if I did, Mum and my sister would try to make my life even worse. Once her month-long punishment ended, my sister begged me for loans whenever she spent all her allowance. I told her she'd never pay me back since she never earned or saved money. For fun, I even wrote a debt note and watched to see if she'd sign it in front of Dad. She tore it in half and ran to Mum to complain that I was unfair. Mum and my sister tried to force me to give her money, but I reminded them Dad could handle it. If my sister wanted more money, she wouldn't get it from me. After this, Mum tried sending me to military school, but Dad wouldn't allow it. For anyone wondering why Dad didn't help me open a savings account, I honestly don't know. Keeping cash on hand was just the norm for us. Update 1. Shortly after Dad gave me the safe, he also installed a lock on my room door and a wall-mounted combination safe to store the key because my sister had thrown the original safe out of the window. We set it all up while Mum and my sister were out. When my sister first walked past my room that day, I saw her glance at the lock and immediately run to Mum. Both of them hurried up the stairs, but there they ran into Dad and me. Here's roughly how the conversation went. Mum snapped her fingers several times, pointing at the lock. "What the heck is this?" Dad calmly said, "It's a door lock." "Mum, I know it's a lock, but why is it here?" "Dad, because you never punish her or stop her from trashing someone else's room. Now there's a lock." "Mum, he's only 14. It's my house. He can't have a lock on his door." "Dad, no, it's our house. As far as I know, I pay most of the mortgage and bills. You hardly contribute, and I'm tired of you spoiling our son while he suffers." "Mum, then at least tell me what this lock is for." "Dad, stone-faced, I won't, because you've proven you can't be trusted." Mum completely blew up and stormed down the stairs, slamming each step. My sister just stood there with a sulky look before slowly making her way to her room. With the new lock in place, everything became manageable, and I got into the habit of locking my door every time I left my room. Several times, I noticed Mum and my sister staring intently as I entered the code, but I always shielded the keypad with my hand or body. They hated it, but there was nothing they could do. Near the end of the month, my sister came to me begging to borrow $40 so she could buy a video game she really wanted. "Why are you asking me for money again?" I said, "We both know you'll never pay it back. I swear I'll return it." She pleaded, "No, you won't. Every month you spend everything you have, plus a little extra. Are you seriously going to spend all your allowance instead of repaying me?" "I don't do that," she protested. "All right, then how about we check?" I went to my room, grabbed paper and pen, and wrote a simple IOU stating she would return $40 when she got her next allowance. The note had to be signed in front of Dad as a witness. My sister read it, began sobbing, tore it in half, and ran to Mum, crying exactly what she always did whenever things didn't go her way. "Mum, he's doing it again," she wailed. "What did he do this time?" Mum asked. "She asked me to sign the IOU before Dad, and I'm mad." Mum snapped. "Why do you need that?" "She just wanted a little money. I needed a signed note too." "Make sure she'd pay it back," I explained. "You little brat. I'm not signing anything, just give her the money." Mum shouted, "Only after the IOU," I said. Mum raised her hand as if she were about to hit me but stopped. "You're just like your father, documenting everything. I hate this." I went up to my room, thinking it was good I took after Dad. It was far better than being like Mum or my sister, who never did anything right. Mum muttered, "What did you just say, you little brat?" She started up the stairs just as I locked my door. She had a habit of swinging my door open to yell at me, often ripping the lock out in one motion. Since my lock was new, she wasn't used to it yet. I latched it, and she tried to force the door open but slammed into it with a loud thud. I heard her hit the floor, crying out in pain. She had slammed her body and face against the solid wooden door, leaving a swollen lip and a bruise on her forehead. I opened the door to see her on the floor, pounding her fists. "You set this up, you little brat. You made me hit the door," she yelled. "You're grounded." "Get out of my sight," I replied. I called Dad, and he just sighed upon hearing the story. He said I wasn't in trouble, but I still faced a serious talk for teasing her. He told me to let him handle Mum when he got home. In the end, I got a stern lecture from Dad, extra chores, and a reduced allowance that month. From then on, whenever my sister asked for money, I made her sign an IOU. She hated it. Update 2, Mum had tried to send me to military school and even forged Dad's signature. This backfired after I stood up to her one last time when she threatened to spank me. She became more cautious, realizing that if she actually tried to hit me, it could end very badly. So mostly, she just yelled at me and left me alone, at least until years later, when she wanted my house. I ignored her tantrums and kept up with school and her jobs. My 15th birthday was approaching, and Dad gave me a motor for my bicycle, so I could get around town. He advised me to save for a car instead of a scooter. I agreed and continued saving. A few days later, while mowing the backyard, I found a military school brochure under a table where Mum liked to sit and drink wine. I had a bad feeling she was planning some crazy scheme, so I waited until Dad came home and showed him the brochure. He was furious but didn't jump to conclusions. Instead, he went to Mum to ask about it. "Honey, what's this?" Dad asked. "I don't know. I've never seen it before," Mum replied. "Really? Because it says here you were planning to send him to military school. You know I wouldn't allow that," Dad said firmly. Mum stopped pretending to be innocent and screamed. Mum was furious. "He needs to learn discipline. He keeps locking his door, and I can't spank him anymore because he's too big. This is the only way to punish him for being a naughty little brat." Dad calmly replied, "He hasn't done anything wrong. If anything, our daughter is the real troublemaker, and it's partly because you let her steal from her brother. That discussion about sending him to military school is over. If you try it, you'll be in big trouble." Mum huffed. "Seems like the whole family wants to strip me of the last bits of authority in this house. If I lose everything, then life has no meaning." "Stop dramatizing," Dad said. "He's growing up and becoming independent. He earns his own money." The next morning, before school, I saw Mum frantically trying to stuff something into the kitchen trash. Once she left for work, I retrieved a completed military school application entirely in her handwriting. It required both parents' signatures. I recognized Mum's signature immediately, but the other was a pathetic attempt to forge Dad's. He had always taken pride in his complex signature, and there was no way Mum could copy it without obvious signs of forgery. It seemed she realized she'd been caught because she gave up and abandoned the plan to send me away. I kept the papers and later showed them to Dad. He was angry but noted that Mum had already abandoned the idea, so he let it go. He still kept the documents in his office just in case. Months later, it came out that Mum had cheated on Dad with her old high school boyfriend. This was the final straw for Dad, and he filed for divorce. A few months afterward, I moved in with him in his new house. The divorce process accelerated when Dad presented the military school papers showing Mom's forgery, which wasn't the first time she had faked his signature. He also had evidence of her forging his signature on at least one credit card application and another document, though I don't remember the details. Mum got the house because Dad didn't want it, but she also demanded child support and maintenance for my sister, who, as expected, chose to live with her. The court awarded Mum child support and minimal alimony for 10 years, which basically only covered my sister's allowance. Mum was furious about this and threatened to sue Dad again, but he had long held the threat of exposing her forged signatures over her head, so she left him alone. On the day I moved into Dad's new house, my sister stuck her tongue out at me and smugly said that Mum told her she was the princess and the more deserving child. I just shook my head, not caring what she thought, and finally stepped out the door, feeling free as a bird. Our relationship with my sister worsened when she visited Dad once a week, until eventually we stopped talking altogether. I had little desire to visit Mum anyway. She had practically turned my old room into a home office. Honestly, I'm glad that at least one person in the family, Dad, was on my side. Too often in stories like this, one child becomes the favorite and the rest are neglected. I'm glad that in this case, things turned out differently.